her own choice.
All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Mike Gull. I am the financial aid facilitator at Fox Valley Technical College. So what that means for you is my job was specifically created to be able to come out and talk to parents, students, their family members, whoever has questions, and let you guys know about financial aid, all the different ways to pay for college, whether it be grants, loans, work study, scholarships, whatever it may be. So today, we'll get turned on, sorry. All right, there we go. So today, this comment kind of explains why a lot of folks come to these presentations. Financial aid can be overwhelming for a lot of folks. The government has tried to make it a little easier, but in my opinion, as somebody who works in the field, they did nothing but make it more of a pain in the butt. So today we're here to talk about financial aid. All right, so a couple of heads up. I do talk rather quickly. This is not the most exciting subject in the world, so I try to keep everybody's attention and get through as much as I can, as quick as I can. If I am going too fast or you need me to stop for something to ask a question, please feel free to raise your hand, let me know, and we can go from there. So, all right, first thing you got to think about when you're looking to go to college is what are the different costs that there's, what are the different costs of going to college, sorry. You have your tuition, your fees, your books, your supplies, your room, your board, your transportation, and your personal expenses. So altogether, these come together and give you what's called your COA or your cost of attendance. Cost of attendance is how much it costs a student to attend for one full academic year. An academic year starts in August and ends in July. Tuition fees, books, supplies, room and board, those are all going to be based off of whatever college you decide you're going to go to. Obviously, private colleges cost a little more than a tech college does. If you're taking 20 credits versus 12 credits, obviously that number is going to change as well. So those numbers are based off of the college that you're going to attend, whereas the transportation and personal expenses, these are state allocated numbers. So whatever state the college is in, that's the state amount that you're going to get. So Wisconsin might allocate a little bit more money for those two expenses versus what Texas might. So this will be important when we talk about loans in just a little bit. So one of the first things we want to talk about for paying for college is scholarships. How many people, this is mostly junior, it's all juniors, right, today? If I'm not mistaken? No? A little bit of everybody? All right, so how many seniors are in here? Are there any? How many of you guys have done a scholarship so far? A couple? All right, perfect. So, scholarships. There are thousands and thousands of scholarships out there. All right, I've seen scholarships for people that are left-handed. I've seen scholarships for people that like to ride horses. There's literally a scholarship for everyone. It's just a matter of you taking the time to apply for them. One of the nice things about scholarships is there's no limit to how many scholarships a student can get. There was a girl featured about 8 years ago on Good Morning America. She was from Ohio. She filled out 1,500 scholarship applications. She started at the end of her junior year, filled them out every day all the way through her senior year. Anybody want to take a guess at how much money she was awarded? What's that?
All of it.
She was awarded $1.4 million of scholarship money. So the money's there, it's just a matter of your students taking the time to apply to these different applications. Now, granted, that student wasn't able to use all $1.4 million because there are different types of scholarships that you can receive. First one is going to be a general scholarship. So a general scholarship can be used for anything, whether it be your tuition, your housing, your gas, your groceries, anything that you need to help yourself succeed while you're in school, a general scholarship can pay for. And then you have a tuition-only scholarship. Those obviously will only pay for tuition. So if there's no tuition to pay, it either sits in your account until you enroll in more classes, transfer to another school, or eventually we send the money back to whoever it was that sent it to us. Now, one of the biggest deterrents for scholarships is people don't want to write essays. Not all scholarships require an essay. If you do have to write an essay for a scholarship, make sure you save it somewhere on your computer because I can guarantee you there's at least 50 other scholarship applications out there that want that same question answered. So you go in, you change the name of who you're sending it to, and you ship it off. There's no need to recreate the wheel every single time. Some scholarships are just simply drawing based. I got one when I was in college from Mars Candy Bars because I sent in 8 proofs of purchases for Snickers. So I got $1,000 because I ate candy. So it's not rocket science. Home Depot used to have one. You videotaped yourself planting a tree, sent it into them before Earth Day, I think it was, and you got put into a drawing for 15 $1,000 scholarships. Wisconsin, we have an initiative called College Goal Wisconsin. It's something where we have about 60 different events all throughout the state. If you come into one of those events, they are from January to the beginning or through the first couple weeks of February. If you come into one of those events anywhere in the state, you fill out the FAFSA, start the FAFSA, finish the FAFSA, or just come in and ask questions, right? You do a little survey that says, was this beneficial to you? And then you can get entered in for 15 $1,000 scholarships that are only available to people that attend those events. I think last year we had maybe 2,100 students altogether that attended them. So it's a great opportunity to get an easy scholarship. One more thing with scholarships, even if you don't meet all the requirements for a scholarship, it doesn't necessarily hurt to fill it out. We had a student a while back that had a 3.8 GPA and wanted to go into microbiology. He filled out a scholarship for women going into science. He was awarded a $2,000 scholarship for women going into science because he's the only one that filled out the application. A lot of these companies would rather give the money out. It looks good for them, it's a tax write-off, and it helps you, so why not fill out the applications? Your guidance counselor is going to be your best resource for local scholarships around the area. There's a couple national database sites out there such as fastweb.com and goingmerry.com. With these websites, you go on, you create an account. They are free to create accounts. You create your account, give them some basic info, and then they're going to pop back a list that says, all right, these 118 scholarships are the best fit for you. Doesn't mean you have to do all 118, doesn't mean you can't do more than 118. They're just saying that based off of what you said, those are the best ones for you. With those two websites, I do have to give you fair warning. They do offer paid advertising on there. So every now and then you are going to come across one of those ones that says, hey, give us 20 bucks, we'll make sure you get a scholarship. You are applying for money, so don't give money. Doesn't make sense. So the next one is this local database site. So it's a ridiculously long name, but the Fox River Scholarship Center.org. So what this is it's a local database site, very similar to the ones above it. You're going to go on, you're going to create an account, and then you're going to pick which scholarships, it's going to tell you which ones that are best fit for you based off of the information you plug in. A couple of nice things about this one is they are all geared to the Fox Valley area. So there's also a list of, I believe it's anywhere from 40 to 50 employers around the Fox Valley that are listed on there that if you, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, it all depends on which company, there could potentially be additional scholarships and or grants that are available to you just because somebody in your family works there. So make sure you check that one out. This one's also kind of nice, especially if you're a junior, because what you can do is you can go on there and you can see outdated scholarships. So you can see the ones that ran out, when they were posted, because these renew almost every year. It's maintained in Appleton, so it's regularly updated. So you can go on there, you can say, okay, this scholarship opened January 1st for $3,000. This is what was required. You can go in and you kind of prepare yourself so you can have that ready so you're not trying to cram everything all in at one time. So again, scholarships, just make sure you're filling them out. Next thing we want to talk about is veterans education benefits. Wisconsin is one of the best states for veterans education benefits. As a federal veteran, you have lots of benefits available to you, such as your GI Bill and some other benefits around there. Wisconsin has something called the Wisconsin GI Bill. If mom or dad served in the military, doesn't matter if it's 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or if they're still currently serving, there could potentially be benefits out there for you. Up to the point of, if depending on your parent's service, you could potentially get 128 semester hours of free education, as long as you attend a state-funded college. So as long as you go to the UWs or you go to one of the 16 tech colleges in the state, you can get up to 128 semester hours of free education. That's an entire bachelor's degree that you don't have to pay a penny for. So if mom or dad served, or if you as the student plan on serving, make sure you reach out to the veterans office at the college of your choice. There could potentially be something there for you. So just make sure you make that call. Worst thing they're going to do is tell you, nope, sorry, you're not eligible for anything. If not, oh well. Next thing, educational savings plan. So this is going to be your 529s, your UTMAs, your UGMAs, and your covered DELs. So what these are is these are essentially investment accounts that a lot of times grandma, grandpa, sometimes the students will, not students, but the parents will open them up when you're born, things like that. It's a nice way that they can just put a couple bucks aside every now and then when they got it, and it slowly accrues interest, and then you can use that for educational purposes. With these accounts, you need to make sure you understand what is and is not considered educational expenses. Some companies will consider a laptop an educational expense, while others will not. So you want to call, you want to find out what is and is not covered, and then you also want to find out how do they do their billing. So are they going to bill the college directly, or do you have to pay up front and then get reimbursed from the account? So these are the questions you want to make sure that you're asking. Next thing we want to talk about, this is the one that nobody really wants to talk about, but we really need to. So when you hear about students having $200,000 in student loan debt, this is why. So private loans, as long as you've got the credit backing for it, they will give you as much money as you want. All right. What the key is that you got to make sure you're only using your educational loans for education. Don't borrow an extra $10,000 to go on vacation to Cancun on spring break. Yeah, it might be fun, but you know, in the long run, it's going to cost you. So, with the private loans, I'm sure lots of people in here have used them before, but obviously you want to shop around. It's like buying a pair of jeans. You're not going to grab the first ones off the rack. You got to find what fits you best. You're the only one that knows what fits you best. So again, make sure you're shopping around. You want to look at those interest rates, right? Interest rates right now for an unsecured private loan, you're looking upwards of 10 to 15%. That's a pretty high interest rate comparatively to other things. Your repayment options, you want to see what the repayment options are on those different loans. So a lot of them will require that you start making payments right away or within the next month or two. They also usually only give you 5 to 7 years to pay them back. So make sure you're looking into that. The other thing you want to check into is what's called deferment. So deferment means as long as the student is enrolled in college, they're not required to make payments on those loans. A lot of the companies will do it, but there are a lot of them that also won't. These loans are going to be very heavily based on your credit score and your credit history. So just obviously it's like any other loan, make sure you're shopping around. This right here is our Fast Choice site. Every college in the country has something very similar to it. So if you go on our website and you search for private loans, it's going to take you to this site. On this site, we have a list of all the different companies we've worked with in the past. We know that they don't screw the students over. They've got decent interest rates. We will tell you whether or not the loans can be put into deferment. And there's even a button to apply for the loans right there if you want to. So if you're curious, want to check it out, feel free to look at it. Additional payment options. So parental affiliations. This is going to be if mom or dad happens to be part of, say, the Shriners, Lions Club, Elks Club, whatever else happens to be out there. A lot of these organizations and some employers even have additional funding such as scholarships and grants that you could potentially get because your parents are affiliated with one of these organizations. Again, it's on you to ask those questions to see if that stuff is out there. Next thing is AmeriCorps Cap Services WIOA Weekend AdvoCap. What these are is these are outside organizations that can give you additional funding above and beyond what the federal government does. So a lot of times these are geared more towards parent or adults that are returning to work or adults that are trying to make changes in their careers, but there are some programs that high school students could potentially take advantage of. There was one, I'm not 100% sure if it's still out there, I think it is from last I heard, but WIOA has something called a Cal Grant. So what it is if you want to get into the nursing field, right, you could get your entire education paid for as long as you're willing to work in a high demand county after you graduate. So if that's the field you want to go into, it's something that you should check into because you could, again, potentially get your entire education paid for. Cap Services, if you want to become a trucker, they have a program where they are trying to get truckers out on the road because it's something that's important, keeps our economy going, and they will essentially pay for all your licensures, and they will even go as far as to give you gas money to get to and from school if you live further than X amount of miles away. So if those are the kind of fields you want to look into, again, make sure you check with some of these organizations to see if there is any funding out there. The next thing we want to talk about is payment plans. So every college in the country is going to offer some form of payment plan. Payment plans can be nice because one big thing is as long as you're on a payment plan and you're up to date, you're not going to have a hold put onto your account where you can't enroll in your next semester. So for some of those high demand fields such as nursing, dentistry, stuff like that, if you don't enroll in your classes the day that your enrollment window is open, you're going to miss out and then you miss your seat. So you don't want that to happen. The reason this is because we don't get kids out of class for non-payment. What we do is we put a hold on your account. You cannot enroll in the next semester until the current one is taken care of. And by taking care of, you either have pending financial aid or you are on a payment plan and up to date with it. So if you're on one of those, payment plan or the up to date with your financial aid, then we don't put that hold on. You can enroll in the next semester. If not, then you're getting yourself into some trouble. Also with the payment plan, it makes it so you don't necessarily have to dump all your money from your savings right away at the beginning of the semester. It leaves you that little bit of wiggle room so that if something does happen to come up through the semester, you have that ability to possibly flex your stuff and fix it later on down the line. Apprenticeships, if anybody wants to become a plumber, a welder, a glazer, pipe fitter, anything like that, any of those trades, make sure you're talking to the apprenticeship offices around the state. Every one of the tech colleges is going to have an apprenticeship office. Some of the UWs do as well. But some of these apprenticeship programs, we've seen them before where there's companies that will be looking for, say, 40 plumbers. So they'll hire 40 plumbers, you go to work during the day, and then you come to college at night, you get all your education, they pay for your education. Some of the companies will even pay you to go to school at night. And then once you're done, you've got all that on-the-job training already, you're halfway to your journeyman, and you have a job that's already lined up once you graduate. So, apprenticeships, this can be a great way to get that done if you are looking to go into the trades. If you are any part Native American, Wisconsin has lots of different tribes throughout the state, and many of them have different scholarships, grants, and some of them even have their own loans that they offer to students that have that Native American heritage. So if you are at all Native American, make sure you reach out to the tribal rep at the college of your choice to see if there potentially is anything there for you. Next thing we want to talk about is the FAFSA application. This is the big one that a lot of people miss out on money. So the FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It's one application. It's going to put your student in for a whole bunch of different stuff, and it has to be done once per academic year. So every year you got to fill it out. It opens up in October usually for the next school year. For those of you that are seniors and you'll be starting in the fall, your application does not open until December this year. That's because the government changed a bunch of stuff last year and didn't change it properly, so now they got to try to work out all the bugs before they open it up to everyone again. So, with the FAFSA application, again, it's going to put you in for a bunch of different things. It takes about 30 to 45 minutes to complete it. Now, because nobody wants to listen to me talk the entire time, I do have a quick video to watch.
Prospective college students of America, I bet right now you're going through something like this.
The cost of college is anywhere from $10,000 to $40,000 a year? I can't afford this. I'm not made out of money.
Of course you're not. Humans are made of oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, phosphorus, and in my case, hair gel. And I bet you think financial aid isn't for you, right?
Yeah, the only people who qualify are either geniuses or people so broke they've got moths in their pockets.
Nope, that's a straight-up myth. Nearly everyone qualifies for financial aid, and all you gotta do is fill out the FAFSA.
FAFSA? Like Simba's dad in The Lion King.
No, you're thinking of Mufasa. FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. The government loves acrosticks as much as I do. And filling it out is really important. Every year, students miss out on millions of dollars that could help them cover the cost of college, just because they don't fill out the FAFSA.
You don't understand, Adam. No one has any reason to help me. I'm not special. My parents have good jobs, and my basketball skills are subpar. Ow! See?
First of all, aid isn't only based on your parents' income. They take several factors from the form you fill out and crunch the numbers.
Yeah, like the size of your family, the age of your oldest parent. I did the math, and you are wicked eligible.
Wait, you don't look like a mathematician.
Me? I'm just a janitor from humble origins, in need of a second chance.
It's a reference from a movie that came out when you were like 2.
That's another thing. My age. I'm way too old. I graduated from high school a few years ago. They'd never help me now.
Actually, you can apply no matter how old you are, as long as you're not dead. JK, I'm fine. I'm gonna be the old man in class who asks too many questions.
No matter your age, race, or even if your parents are undocumented immigrants, you totally can and should apply for aid.
I know one thing that will disqualify me. My grades are bad.
They can't be that bad.
No, they're literally bad.
It doesn't matter. Mediocre high school grades do not disqualify you. In fact, most federal student aid programs don't even take grades into account.
Carry the 2, drop the GPA. Huh. How you like that, man?
Ow! You don't need any particular high school GPA to fill out the FAFSA. You just gotta fill out the form. How hard is that?
It doesn't matter. I'm busy applying to colleges. I don't have time to fill out some long, crazy forms.
Well, let's ask an expert.
Hi, I'm Fafsa, the sentient FAFSA form. Many humans think I'm terrifying,
They're right.
Hey,
but I'm not that scary. You can transfer tax information from the IRS directly onto me now.
it only takes about 30 minutes. They just need a little info about you and your parents.
Parents? What if I support myself?
Well, you may still be considered dependent, but either way, FAFSA will be your guide.
Yep.
So I do this and get free money?
You could. Financial aid does include grants and scholarships, also known as free money.
But it also includes work-study programs and low-interest loans.
And federal loans can be way better than private loans. For one thing, when it's time to repay, there are flexible repayment options.
Aha! There's the catch. These loans must have crazy rate hikes.
No, the rate never goes up. The only thing you'll be hiking is the mountain of your dreams. So if you're watching this and you're applying for college, fill out the dang Fafsa.
Hey!
Sorry. Filling out the Fafsa is the single most important thing you can do to get financial aid. By submitting, you're also applying for funds from your state and possibly your school as well. You can submit as early as October. Heck, you can do it right now. So trust me, you got nothing to lose and a whole bunch to gain. And after you do, on to the hardest part of college, picking out the cheesy poster for your dorm room wall. Oh, hey, this will go great next to my periodic table.
So like the video said, as long as the student has a social security number or an alien registration number, they can and they should fill out this application. I regularly hear people say they're not going to do it because, oh, my parents did it when they were in college and they didn't get anything, or my brother's uncle's cousin did it and they didn't get anything. A lot of times when people say they didn't get anything, it means they got loans and they just didn't want the loans. So every one of the students in here is going to at least be eligible for those federal loans. There's only two ways that you're not going to get those federal loans. First is if you have been in default. That means you borrowed money from the government and didn't pay it back the first time. Alright? Otherwise, you've met what's called your lifetime learning limit. The government puts a cap on how much loans they will give you. So if you've met that lifetime learning limit, it means you've been in college for way too long and the government's kind of saying, hey, time to move on with life. Alright? So, unless you meet one of those requirements, every student in here is going to be eligible at least for those federal loans. Nice thing about the FAFSA application, everything taken from the FAFSA is strictly the student's responsibility. There's no co-signers, there's no credit checks, it is strictly the student's responsibility. So mom and dad, in 5-10 years when you go to buy that cabin up north, it's not going to be on your credit score for $40,000 in student loans. Alright, that's all going to be the student's responsibility. So, if they don't make those payments, they ain't coming for you. Now, what all again is applied for with the FAFSA application? So, like I said before, it's going to put you in for a bunch of different things. First thing is grants. So this is what everybody wants. Grants is that free money. If you're eligible for it, you do not have to pay it back as long as you stay in your classes. There are several different types of grants out there, such as the Pell Grant. This is the largest federal grant available. It hasn't ran out in the last 30 years. We don't see it running out in the next 30. And then you have the federal SEOG, the state and local specialized grants. These ones I consider a lot more like grandma's cookie jar. You want to get a cookie, you got to get your hand in the jar before everybody else, or you're not going to get one. These ones do run out, and they do run out fairly quickly. Not so quickly that if you don't do it the first week it's open, you're going to miss out. But you also don't want to wait until 2 weeks before classes start and think you're going to be eligible for all of it. This is the federal government you are working with, and there is nothing fast about the federal government. This application can take anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks to process from start to finish, and that's provided you are on top of turning any items into your college that are required. Next item the application is going to put you in for is loans. This is those things that I said everybody's going to be eligible for, as long as you don't meet one of those requirements. We'll get into those a little more in just a few minutes. It's also going to put you in for what is called work study. So work study is the opportunity for you to work for the college while you're attending school. Every college in the country is going to offer some form of work study. For example, at the Tech, we have about 100 different jobs our students can do. Anything from working in our IT department, our security staff, our grounds crew, cooking in our kitchens. If you're good in a specific subject, you can be a tutor. Once you get into some of the bigger colleges that have large dormitories and things like that, if you're a floor monitor or RA or whatever they call that nowadays, you could essentially be a work study for that position. A couple of nice things about work study is you will get to apply to whatever position you want to do. If you're eligible to do it, then what they do is they work around your class schedule. So, if you have class in the morning, say you got a 4-hour break, and then you got class in the evening, rather than trying to go home or back to your dorm, play an Xbox, something like that, where you might fall asleep, don't get back to class on time, it's going to give you that ability to go out and make a little bit of money for gas, groceries, things like that. Work study is going to get paid to you as a paycheck, just like any other paycheck. You get it every week or every 2 weeks, depending on how your college does their payroll. This is the only form of funding that's going to go to you directly. Loans, scholarships, and grants, usually those get paid to the college first. We take out what you owe us, and then if there's anything left over, then we send it to you. So, work study is a great opportunity. They did get a pay raise, I know, and I believe it's $15 an hour now. It is also tax-free, so it equals out to be a little bit higher if you really think about it. So, a couple other things that the application is used for. They're not listed up here because it doesn't pertain to everyone's situation. First is going to be scholarships. Not all scholarships require that you fill out the FAFSA, but nowadays a lot of scholarships want you to. They essentially look at it as if you're willing to take their free money, why don't you take the government's free money? They don't care if you use the money, they don't care if you actually receive it, they just want you to apply for it to see if you could get it. Another thing that you could potentially get is what's called institutional aid. So institutional aid is additional funding that your college has, essentially that they can give in the form of, say, a need-based scholarship or a need-based grant to get students through their doors. So, make sure you're filling out the FAFSA. Everybody's situation is different, so make sure you fill it out. If you heard that somebody else did it and they didn't get anything and you think, oh, I make more money than them, that does not matter. Everybody's situation is different. There's no set line that we can say, all right, if you make more than this amount of money, you're not going to get anything. That's not how it works. So just make sure you guys fill it out. With the FAFSA application, this is what their website is now. So it is now called studentaid.gov. If you have done the FAFSA in the past for yourself, you might have went to FAFSA.gov or NSLDS.gov, any of those. So there used to be about 5 different web pages that all did the same thing this one does. So in the past, there was one for your account, there was one for your loans, there was one for the application. They decided to combine them all into studentaid.gov. This is what their website looks like now. So if you type in where you're going and it doesn't look like this, double check the website. The reason we tell you this is because everybody has to create what is called an FSA ID. So your FSA ID is essentially going to be your digital signature for everything financial aid. It's how you fill the application out online. It's how you sign the application. It's also how your tax information gets pulled in. So you do have to have your social security number to create one of these. This is why we want you to make sure you are going to the correct site. An email address is required to verify that you are who you say you are. A couple of little things with this account. When you create it, do not use your high school email address. If you have a Yahoo or a Gmail account, make sure you try to use that. The reason this is because you need to have access to that email for the entire time you're in college. Your high school email gets shut down about 3 weeks after you graduate. So again, if you can use a Yahoo or a Gmail, try to. With this as well, a lot of folks, especially nowadays with how often people change their phone numbers, if you type in your phone number to get it so that you can use it as a registration device, it might come up and say, hey, this phone number is already registered. It's not the end of the world. Just go in, delete the phone number out, and continue with just the email. The reason that is because somebody else had that phone number before you that registered it to their account, and until the government figures out a way to make people go in and change their emails and phone numbers, that is their phone number. So you can continue without the phone number. The email is the only one that is required. Now, last year was the first time in 40 years the federal government has changed anything on this application to the extent that they did. So there's lots of changes that went down. One of the first ones is everybody is now considered a contributor. So in the past, you used to be called the parent, the spouse, the student, whatever it happened to be. Now everybody is just considered a contributor. All contributors must provide information to sign their respective portion of the FAFSA. Every contributor also has to give permission to the Department of Education to pull in their tax information directly from the IRS. So in the past, it used to be an option if you wanted to have that tax info pulled in. It is no longer an option. If you do not say, yes, I approve for the Department of Education to pull my tax info, your student will automatically be denied financial aid. It's not an option. It used to be. It's not anymore. The FSA ID is required by every person that has to put in the account information. So last year, or sorry, not last year, but before they made these changes, you could essentially have your student create their account. They could log in, put in all their information, put in all mom and dad's information, and then all they had to do is print off a piece of paper, mom or dad signed it, and you sent it in. All right? That's not how it works anymore. In order for a parent to put their information in, the parent has to create an FSA ID. Even if the student or even if the parent doesn't have a social security number because they are undocumented or if they live in a foreign country, they still have to create one of these accounts. So one of the big changes too is in the past the student used to be able to sit down and put all the information in. Like I said, for you as the parent, you used to be able to put theirs in. That is not an option anymore. The student goes in, they have to do their portion, and about a third of the way in, they have to invite the parent to do their portion of the FAFSA. In order for the student to send the invite to you, they have to have your social security number, your email address that is linked to your FAFSA account, and then also they need your birthday. So if your student texts you one day or calls you and says, hey, I need your social security number for my FAFSA, it means they're probably doing the right thing, not trying to get credit cards in your name. So once that invite goes out, the parent logs in using their FSA ID, and then they'll be able to go in and do their portion of the account. Couple little things with that. Make sure if you are, as the parent, type faster than your student, do not hit the submit button before your student does. If you do that, it kicks your student out of the application, freezes the account, and then you got to wait until the government reviews it before you can go in and make any changes. One of the other things that we ran into a lot this year with folks was on the application, the continue button for every page is dark blue. The very last question, when you as the parent sign and submit it, the button you want to continue is going to be the white button. It's going to say submit. The blue button is the save and exit button, so that's not the one you want, because again, causes issues with freezing the account, and then you got to wait until the government does their part. So make sure you're watching what you're clicking. And then the last big change they made is they got rid of what is called the EFC, or the expected family contribution. In the past, you would get the EFC at the end of the application to give you an estimate as to how much you're going to be paying or receiving for financial aid. People would come up all the time and they'd say, hey, wait a minute, my EFC was $46,000. I got to pay $46,000 to go to school. No, that's not what it is. It was an index number to rate you as to where you sit amongst everybody else that fills out the application. So the government fixed it. By now they call it the student aid index number. So, all right. Next thing is we got one more little video to talk about whose parent information is needed on the FAFSA.
You fill out the FAFSA. You'll be asked several questions that will determine whether you are an independent or dependent student. This is an important distinction because if you're a dependent student, then you'll need to include your parents' financial information on your FAFSA. This means that your parents' financial information will be considered along with your information to determine your eligibility for federal student aid. So how do you figure out if you're an independent or dependent student? Generally, if you are a graduate student, on active duty in the U.S. Armed Forces, a veteran, are married, have children whom you support, or are 24 or older, then you are considered an independent student. If you don't meet any of these criteria, then you're likely considered a dependent student and will have to provide your parents' financial information when completing the FAFSA. If you have a different living situation, including divorced parents or living under the care of a grandparent or other relative, the online FAFSA will provide guidance to help you answer the parent questions. In other special circumstances, your status may not be as easy to determine, and you'll need guidance from the financial aid office at the college or career school you plan to attend. Some common questions that people often ask are, what if the FAFSA tells me I'm a dependent student, but my parents don't claim me on their taxes, or I've moved out of their house and am financially independent? While these situations do arise, they aren't part of the criteria for independent status on the FAFSA, so you would still be required to report your parents' financial information on the FAFSA. What if I'm considered a dependent student, but have no contact with my parents or access to their information? There are other options available to you in these situations, so it is possible for a dependent student to submit the FAFSA without parental information. If you have indicated on your FAFSA that you cannot contact your parents or access their financial information, you'll need to speak to staff at the financial aid office at the college or career school you plan to attend. The financial aid staff will tell you what to do next. So what if my parents aren't going to help me pay for college and refuse to provide information from my FAFSA? If this is the case, the only federal aid you may be able to receive will be an unsubsidized loan, which is a federal student loan that begins accruing interest as soon as you receive your funds. To find out whether you can get the loan, fill out your FAFSA and then speak to the financial aid staff at the college or career school that you wish to attend. If you have any other questions regarding financial aid, your college or career school will be able to answer them for you, and, if appropriate, make a decision about your dependency status. Their decision is final and cannot be appealed to the U.S. Department of Education. No matter your dependency status, make sure to complete the FAFSA to find out what federal money you can get for college or career school. If you have questions or need more information, please visit studentaid.gov.
Alright, so to reiterate, everything entered into the FAFSA application is strictly going to reflect off of the student, not you as the parent. Now, parent information may be needed for this application, but again, it's not going to affect you in any way. By you not giving your student the information, all you're kind of doing is screwing your student over, because now all they can get is that unsubsidized loan. So again, if you are not over the age of 24, if you do not have a child of your own that you support, if you are not married and you're not pursuing a PhD or a master's degree, and you haven't served on active duty in the military, you are going to need parent information. Now, if you come from a household with the parents that are both there and they file joint taxes, only one parent has to create that FSA ID. Doesn't matter which one. If they're both on the taxes, doesn't matter which one does it. If it comes from a divorced household, then it's kind of up to you to determine which parent you're going to use. Best thing I can tell you is the guidelines that they regularly look at is who provides more than 50% of your support. If it's 50-50, the next thing they look at is usually health insurance, because that's the next largest expense for a student. So, and if that also is 50-50, then it's kind of the gray area of financial aid, and you can kind of determine who you want to use on your own. I cannot recommend one or the other, but there are some special circumstances also, such as if a parent is incarcerated, a parent happens to be deceased, if the student has ever been in foster care, an emancipated minor, or if you are a transient student living from one friend's couch to the next friend's couch. We can fill this application out without parent information, but you need to talk to the financial aid office at the college of your choice so that they can help you walk through the proper steps to get it done. So now we want to talk about those federal student loans. So federal student loans are offered to students as long as they are in 6 credits of financial aid eligible learning. That means it has to be a portion of your program that you are enrolled in. As long as you're in 6 credits, you'll be eligible for these loans. There are 2 different types of loans that can be offered to you. The first one is a subsidized loan. This is the best student loan that you can get. A subsidized loan does not accrue interest while you're in school. So you borrow 10 grand, when you go to pay it back, it's still 10 grand. Once you start making those payments after your grace period, then your interest will kick in. There's also an unsubsidized loan. So this is going to be it's pretty much the same thing as the subsidized loan, except for this one does accrue interest the day you get the funding. Nice part about the federal loans is their interest rates are a lot lower than any of the outside organizations. Their interest rates range anywhere between 2 and 6%. They do cap out at 7%. And then last year they came in, I believe it was 4.9 to 5.1%. So it all fluctuates with the economy. So the better the economy, the better the rate. The worse the economy, the worse the rate. You do not have to pay until you graduate. All federal loans, as long as you're in 6 credits, are automatically put in deferment. That means you do not have to make a payment on them while you're in school. You can if you want to. There is no prepayment penalty, so your interest won't kick in if you make payments early. Nothing like that. As you do have a 6-month grace period. So you have 6 months after you graduate or go below 6 credits to go out, find a job, and start making a paycheck before they are going to expect you to make payments on them. Again, with these, there is no credit record needed, no co-signers either. So again, if you're going to do a student loan, these are the best option for you first. Now, one of the things that we got to talk about too, like I said before, a lot of students, you hear about the students that have $200,000 in student debt. It is not because of the government's loans. So as you can see on this chart, it might be a little bit hard for some of you, but on the chart it tells you as a first-year dependent student, so somebody that has to put mom and dad's info in, the government is only going to give you $5,500 in loans your first year. If you're an independent student, it goes up to $9,500. And then it goes up $1,000 the next year. So the government's not giving you a whole ton of money for this stuff. So well, a lot of these colleges, you got to look at outside resources or additional loans to be able to pay for the rest of that, the rest of your tuition, your housing, things like that. Now, if you're going to the tech college, you might be able to get away with just that amount of loans for your education. But if you go to some of the bigger colleges where your dorm is going to cost you 10 grand for the year, obviously that's not going to cover it. So you got to start looking elsewhere. Next best place to look is going to be Parent Plus loans or a Plus loan. So a Parent Plus loan is going to be if it's a dependent student, and a Plus loan will be if you are considered independent. What this is it's an additional loan that you can request that is from the federal government. So interest rates are going to be a lot better on the Parent Plus loans than outside organizations. You're going to have better repayment options. And one of the nice things about this is you can request for the full cost of attendance. So if your school costs $33,000 for the year, you can request the full $33,000 even if your student got $10,000 of scholarships or loans or whatever already. Also with this, you can request for the full academic year at once, so you're only dinging your credit once rather than having to put in a new application every semester. So, as far as loans go, student loans from the federal government are the best option. Next is going to be the Parent Plus or the Parent Plus or the Plus loans, and then lastly would be those private loans if you're going to use them. So now, the government uses what is called the prior year's income to fill out this application. So for those of you that will be starting in the 25-26 school year, you will use your 2023 tax info to fill out this application. Now, if in 2023 your income was far greater than it is today, due to maybe retirement age, ETSing from the military, somebody passes away, there's an illness in the family that you've been in and out of the hospital, so you haven't been working as much, you can always do what's called a financial aid appeal. So you have to fill it out based off of 2 years ago, but then once you get it back, if you feel like, wait, my income was a lot higher back then than it is now, you can always do this appeal. It takes about another additional week, and you usually have to provide some kind of documentation for it, but that option is there if you think you should be eligible for something more than what you get. We offer free financial aid workshops every Thursday on our main Appleton campus. Every Thursday the campus is open. You can come in from 9 until 6 and stop in, and we will help you fill out your FAFSA from start to finish. You do not have to be attending Fox Valley Tech to attend one of these sessions. You can be going to any college in the country that you want. As long as it is an accredited college, they are all going to use the same FAFSA application. We can answer all the general questions. The only thing that we can't answer is like if you want to know how much housing is at UW Oshkosh, obviously you have to call UW Oshkosh because I do not know that. But if you want to get some assistance with filling out that FAFSA, you happen to have financial aid questions, mom, dad, student, you guys can all come in any Thursday that our campus is open and we will be more than happy to help you. Yeah?
Do you have to know what college you're going to before you fill out the FAFSA?
You do not have to know what college you are going to. The FAFSA application will allow you to put 20 schools on it. So that means you can send it out to 20 different colleges that you might potentially be thinking of going to. If you decide not to go to any of those 20, you can always go back in, delete them out, send it to 20 new ones. There's no limit to how many schools you can send this to. The schools are not actually going to do anything with your FAFSA application until you actually apply to their college. So, the free FAFSA days we do also do on our Oshkosh campus. So our Oshkosh Riverside campus, we do that every Tuesday. So Tuesdays in Oshkosh, Thursdays in Appleton's, and then every Wednesday we are at our regional centers. So that means we're out in Clintonville once a month, we're in Wapaka once a month, same thing with Chilton and Watoma. So if those happen to be closer and you wanted to come in and get assistance, all you got to do is reach out to those centers to find out exactly which day of the month we're there, and we will be more than happy to help you with it. You just stop in anytime again between 9 and 6 and we'll get you taken care of. At this time, if there's any questions or concerns, I'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, this is my contact information. Please feel free to reach out to me. My text line is up there. Otherwise, my phone number and email. If you have general questions, please feel free to reach out. I will be more than happy to answer them. Do give me a little bit of time. It does take up to a day sometimes for me to get back, as this is my busy season. But are there any questions? No? All right, if there's no questions, that's all I got. You guys have a great night.
Thank you.
For those of you who are wanting to stay for the Fox Valley Tech presentation in here, it'll start at 6:30. The UW Oshkosh, St. Norbert, and youth apprenticeship presentations will also start at 6:30. So just take a quick little break. Thank you.
One FAFSA for all state starts, just federal.
Yep, so it's one FAFSA as long as you can credit.
I didn't see me there. I had no idea.